And after 5 days, Ananias, prince of priests, came down with some elder men, and Tertullus, a fair speaker, which went to the president against Paul. And when Paul was summoned, Tertullus began to accuse him, and said, When in much peace we do by thee, and many things be amended by thy wisdom, evermore and everywhere, thou best Felix, we have received with all doing of thankings. But lest I tarry thee, I pray thee, shortly hear us for thy meekness. We have found this wicked man stirring dissension to all Jews in all the world, and author of dissension of the sect of Nazarenes. And he also endeavored to defile the temple, whom also we took, and would deem after our law. But Lysias the tribune came above with great strength, and delivered him from our hands, and commanded his accusers to come to thee, of whom thou deeming mayest know of all these things of which we accuse him. And Jews put to and said that these things had them so. And Paul answered, when the president granted him to say, Of many years I know thee, that thou art doomsman to this folk, and I shall do enough for me with good reason. For thou mayest know, for to me be not more than 12 days since I came up to worship in Jerusalem, and neither in the temple they found me disputing with any man, neither making concourse of the people, neither in the synagogues, neither in the city, neither they may prove of thee, of the which things they now accuse me. But I acknowledge to thee this thing, that after the sect which they say heresy, so I serve to God the Father, to all things that be written in the law and prophets. And I have hope in God, which also they themselves abide, the again rising to coming of just men and wicked. And this thing I study without hurting, to have conscience to God and to men evermore. But after many years I came to do alms deeds to my folk, and offerings and vows, in which they found me purified in the temple, not with company, neither with noise. And they caught me, and they cried and said, Take away our enemy, and some Jews of Asia, which it behooved to be now present at thee, and accuse, if they had anything against me. Either these themselves say, if they found in me anything of wickedness, since I stand in the council, but only of this voice, by which I cried standing among them, for the again rising of dead men, I am deemed this day of you. Swiftly Felix delayed them, and knew most certainly of the way, and said, When Lysias the tribune shall come down, I shall hear you. And he commanded to a centurion to keep him, and that he had rest, neither to forbid any man to minister of his own things to him. And after some days Felix came, and Drusilla his wife, that was a Jewess, and called Paul, and heard of him the faith that is in Christ Jesus. And while he disputed of rightwiseness and chastity, and of doom to coming, Felix was made trembling, and answered, That pertaineth now, go, but in time covenable I shall call thee. Also he hoped that money should be given him of Paul, for which thing he called him and spake with him. And when 2 years were filled, Felix took a successor, Porcius Festus, and Felix would give grace to the Jews, and left Paul bound.